Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And RF Group, Money at Work.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Monday, the 4th of October 2021 here in the Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle. Always bear in mind that the life you save may be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday as well. And those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times. Those of you who are not feeling well, either at home or at a medical facility, or if you are in isolation or in quarantine simply because of a COVID-19 situation, we hope that you will have a speedy recovery and be back in circulation soon as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Radio voice of Silver Fox, Mr. Paul Akal, waiting to take your calls. You can call us on a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. This morning we're discussing a very important topic, so I'm asking our listeners to please restrict your calls to the topic at hand. And the topic that we will be discussing is the Coast Guard bill that will be presented to our Parliament this week. That discussion will take place with Commander Robert Scotland of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. Also with us, Lieutenant Commander Mr. Leo Anglin. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Let's spend $25,000.
Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor, and thank you for having us.
Good morning, Mr. Corner, and good morning to the listening audience.
Okay, so gentlemen, we will be discussing the Coast Guard Bill 2021, and it is a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, to specify the duties and powers of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, and for incidental and connected purposes as well. This bill will be tabled in Parliament this week, which will convert the Royal Cayman Islands Marine Unit into a Cayman Islands Coast Guard service, which will be trained and given the resources to allow detection and interdiction of boats arriving in Cayman waters with drugs, guns, and illegal immigrants as well. Tell us about that and the bill and the Coast Guard as it currently stands.
Okay, thanks again for having us again, Mr. Connor, and the listening audience. Good morning. Wishing you all well. As you touched on just now, what the bill intends to do is basically create the Coast Guard and transition it from the Royal Cayman Islands Police Joint Marine Unit to the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. The duties of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard will continue to be what the RCIPS Joint Marine Unit did, but it will also be taking on a few more additional responsibilities. You already touched on the interdiction, the criminal aspect of what the RCIPS Joint Marine Unit really focused on. What the Coast Guard also has to focus on is the preservation of and safety of life at sea, not only in international waters but also in local waters. The bill actually seeks to legislate some of those international requirements that we've had that have been placed on us for quite a number of years. The International Maritime Organization has certain conditions that as a member state and as a flag state, or basically as a state that registers vessels, and also a coastal state, there are certain responsibilities that we're internationally obliged to meet. And we also have to have legislation in place that actually codifies that, if you will. That's one of the things that's never been in place and has been missing for quite a number of years. The bill seeks to address those, and we're hopeful that once that is in there, we will have met one of the main audit requirements. I'll also ask Mr. Anglin to speak on it.
Certainly, yes. Mr. Anglin?
Yes, Mr. Connor, thank you. Thank you, Commander. In addition, as you alluded to, the bill allows us, gives us the powers to deal with illegal importations, etc. But it also defines our role in terms of search and rescue, more importantly. And in time immemorial, the search and rescue used to fall on the Maritime Authority and that legislation. So with this particular legislation, it gives us defines our role as being the practitioners responsible for search and rescue in that regard. So previously, the police marine unit used to operate solely under what the police law generally provided and those various legislations. But with this particular legislation, it allows that our roles are very specific when it comes down to the maritime world, which is quite vast. And with that particular piece of legislation, it allows us to be a little bit more dynamic, should I say, in dealing with our particular threats and risks surrounding the islands. So I think it's well warranted, and it is well needed as well. And I think that the majority of the public and persons who have seen it for years, the need for such legislation is quite welcomed.
Does it also fill any gaps that may legal gaps that may exist in terms of the way that you operate now as well, and help to codify as well as clarify those roles?
Well, currently the officers in the Joint Marine Unit are sworn special constables, so any actions that they take are covered under the police law and all of the governing laws that basically say that a constable, is ex officio CBC officer, port authority, and everything else. But again, the need for legislation that specifically authorizes the actions of an entity is needed, and it covers any potential legal gaps, or I wouldn't say gaps, but arguing points, if you will, because ultimately the fact that you are a sworn special constable basically covers you for whatever actions you've taken.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about the your first cohort of graduates of the Coast Guard as well? How did that go?
We're extremely proud of our first cohort. 16 young Caymanians, 10 men, 6 women. They underwent 3 months of rigorous training. I think I'm proud and both safe to say that the persons that we saw walking in through the door on day 1 are definitely different than the persons that we've seen graduate, and that change is in their professional manner, professional demeanor, personal as well. We were very proud with what we've been able to accomplish with that first cohort, and we're hoping to replicate it.
Okay. Lieutenant Commander?
Yes, sir. I echo the commander's sentiments in that regard. Having seen those individuals who have never been in a uniform role previously, and having them transition over and go through the training and see the difference in terms of discipline, the decorum, the way they carry themselves is significantly different. It is a breath of fresh air. I've taken part of previous recruitments previously within the RSIPS, and I would say I'm very, very particularly proud about this one, being it that it be 16 young Caymanians that can help bolster the organization going forward. We set out to establish an organization that is essentially going to be world class and in line with the DG's overall strategic goals. Mm-hmm. So having seen these young individuals who have illustrated the capabilities of moving this organization forward to the next level is exciting times, and I definitely look forward for what the future holds.
Okay, and they have been involved in certain activities, particular activities as well, without taking too much out of school. Can you tell our audience some of the things that they have been involved in?
Certainly, but just also coming in on the tail end of what Lieutenant Commander Raglan mentioned.
Sure.
The breath of fresh air, if you will, the 16 new injects have had into the maritime law enforcement world has been commented on repeatedly by the existing officers that are in the RCPS JMU. You hear the enthusiasm that they have in sharing their knowledge and their experience to the young guys, and the fact that our recruits are like sponges soaking up all of this information that they've had. Uh-huh. But in turn, the youth and the vibrance and the enthusiasm that they have transferred into the older crew, it's been a very good cross-pollination, and it's something that we hope will maintain. Going into what you just asked about some of the activities that they've been involved in, there's been, I guess, from day 1 they hit the road, hit the ground running, or hit the ocean. They've been involved in long-range search and rescue operations far to the south of us. As you know, we have fishing vessels that are always going missing, or that are reported overdue or in danger. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of their first search and rescues was actually on a training exercise where they were going to the BRAC for a weekend deployment, and they had to divert south to go and search for a vessel. They've assisted with the recovery of drugs from the ocean. They have participated in the recent Cuban migrant standoff that we had on that vessel. Again, I mean, it's not, I guess the right way to say it is not what they've done, it's what they haven't done. You can call them at 2 o'clock in the morning for a broken trailer axle, and they're there. Again, the enthusiasm, the drive, the willingness to participate is a breath of fresh air.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we want to talk about, and you mentioned this earlier, Commander Scotland, about the creation of the Coast Guard and how it has modernized Cayman's overall approach to maritime safety and security, and how it brings the Cayman Islands in conformity with a series of international organizations as well as obligations that we have as well. I want to talk more about that, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back after this short commercial break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Charles Joseph Henry Goring Sr., 1873 to 1937. Mr. Goring was a Barbadian who arrived in the Cayman Islands in the 1890s. He was a teacher in his own private school and one of the 2 law agents of the time. Older Caymanians say that he was the foremost spokesman for the poor people. Commissioner Cardinal, addressing the assembly on the occasion of Mr. Goring's death, said he probably was the most prominent member of the community. He was a Barbadian, but had settled in Grand Cayman for well over 30 years. He had identified himself in public life from the beginning, first as a schoolmaster and then a law agent. He had also been elected member of the vestry for over 25 years. And although at times a critic of the government, no man was more staunch and faithful in his loyalty. He had traveled widely in South America, the United States, and parts of Europe, and was a very well-dressed man.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
We are island people. We know that hurricane season means preparation now, ahead of time, being ready ahead of the fury of nature we cannot control. Preparation that can make the difference between life and death, injury and safety, the misery of loss, the regret of procrastination. Know this now. Hurricane safety begins with you. It's your responsibility and mine. Your medicine, your valuable documents, your water, your place of safety during the storm, your preparation now will directly determine your outcome during and after the storm. Prepare now. A message from Rotary Central. We serve to change lives.
Had a look at those investment options yet?
Too busy. Look at today. Workout, breakfast, take the kids to school, back-to-back meetings, take Pepper to the vet, and she's apparently got allergies now, so... And that was all before 12. But you look relaxed.
That's because my money's as busy as you.
With RF, you can access the best in local and international investments to keep your money busy, so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Shop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Commander Robert Scotland of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. Also with us, Lieutenant Commander of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, Mr. Leo Anglin. Gentlemen, we want to talk about the creation of the Coast Guard and how it has modernized Cayman's overall approach to maritime safety and security, and brings us into conformity with other international organizations.
Okay, thanks again for that, sir. The primary legislation that we need to address, and which the creation of the Coast Guard does, is one, the law of the land, which is the Constitution, and within the Constitution there is Part 1.2, which is the right to life. The government is obliged to take all necessary steps necessary to preserve the life of persons both on land and in water. Supporting that is also the United Convention's Law of the Seas, or commonly referred to as UNCLOS. Again, placing a responsibility on all mariners and coastal states to take all necessary steps that they can to protect and preserve the life of persons in distress and danger. Lastly, there is also the requirements placed on us under the International Maritime Organization, which is the UN body that pretty much governs shipping around the world, or maritime matters around the world. So those are the three primary statutes or requirements that we have to meet. And for years, because we haven't had any legislation that speaks directly to us addressing our responsibilities, we've picked up what in audit terms will be called a finding of not having this legislation in place. What we have done is specifically identified what our roles and responsibilities are in our bill, which again covers, what actions we will take, what actions we can take. And in areas where we cannot provide direct search and rescue, we're also obligated to provide coordination of search and rescue. So that means working with our international partners or any other vessels at sea in the immediate area of where that distress call comes from. You could probably say that one of the main differences between what the Coast Guard will be doing and what the police has done, the Marine unit did respond to calls for service or calls for persons in distress and danger, and they have quite a very good track record in delivering that service. The problem was that it was done on a reaction basis. Not a lot of action was done into preventing those distresses and those dangers occurring. And as the old saying goes, if you can predict it, you can prevent it. So a lot of education campaigns around, safety equipment that should be on board vessels, a regular testing of that equipment. basic do's and don'ts. For example, something as simple as having a VHF radio on on board your vessel anytime you go out. You'd be surprised at the number of persons that do not have a VHF marine radio on board.
Yeah.
And that is basically your lifeline. I mean, everybody now takes out a cell phone with them. However, if you are past a certain distance, you lose cell coverage. Or if your phone gets wet, you run into difficulties. You don't get that with a VHF radio.
Okay, I'm going to look at the specifically at the legislation, and part one of it provides a short title of the legislation, and then part two, and I think this is important because we have had so many, or I shouldn't say so many, several people in our community talk about another entity that has been established by the Cayman Islands government, and that is the Cayman Islands Regiment. And I'm going to share with our listening and viewing audience Clause 3 of the bill, which provides for the establishment of the Coast Guard, which is responsible for, amongst other things, the maritime enforcement of local laws relating to ensuring the preservation of the safety and security of the islands. This clause, and this is important, this clause also clarifies that nothing contained in the legislation shall be construed as to permit the Coast Guard to be organized as a military establishment or to function as such. And so for those conspiracy theorists out there, those naysayers out there, those anti-regiment persons out there, we have the position of the Coast Guard that will be clarified and codified in law. Gentlemen, you want to respond to that? I know it's a little bit political, but...
No, I think the law speaks very clearly to what we are not. And again, that is, we are not a military establishment. Right. We have a Cayman Islands regiment, and they have their roles and their responsibilities. What we are is a uniformed and disciplined department within the Cayman Islands government, and our focus is on maritime law enforcement and maritime safety.
Yeah, and if we look at the complement of the Coast Guard as well, talks about it shall consist of the commandant, deputy commandant, and such ranks as may be specified in Schedule 1. This clause further provides for the coast that the Coast Guard shall consist of various detachments, including the headquarters detachment, the sea detachment, the shore detachment, and the sister islands detachment. Now, question there is, will this all have to be set up once the bill is in place, or is most of this in place already?
So we already have established a sea detachment and a shore detachment, and for, I guess, simplicity, sea detachment is anything to do with the water, be it near shore or offshore. Mm-hmm. Shore detachment is primarily our engineering section, and also what we've established is our Operations and Rescue Coordination Center. In other countries, it would be called the Maritime Rescue and Coordination Center, but because it also governs our operations at sea, we've thrown in the operation part in there as well.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about assets? I know we're going to be in about a minute's time. We're going to be going to the news, so you may want to just brush over it, and then when we return from the news, we can go into detail in terms of your assets. And are there any expectations of more assets as well?
Okay, for the vessels, I'll hand that over to Mr. Anglin, who has a very deep running passion for those.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Connor. Relative to our assets, we took into account a lot of various aspects and took into considerations our operational theater that we were in. The assets we had previously, whilst they serve the purpose in respect to narcotic interdiction, we tend to have come short when it comes down to search and rescue. So we went and we got assistance from the U.S. Coast Guard relative to identifying a vessel capable of sustaining 15-foot surf and 20-foot seas. That vessel is currently on island at this time, and its sole purpose is its primary purpose is search and rescue. Its secondary will be narcotic interdiction as needed. But with that particular vessel, it gives us the ability to be a bit more dynamic in the way we pursue or deal with search and rescue. Oftentimes, we never had the asset to go out into inclement weather, and there are times where we had to make a decision that the safety of the crews were more important than at the time than to the risk them being perished as a result. So with this vessel, it definitely will make us a bit more robust in that regard. And as we progress as an organization, there will be also opportunities to procure other vessels that's going to allow us to get out there and do some more patrolling.
Excellent. Top of the hour, folks. 8 o'clock news. When we return, the conversation with Commander Robert Scotland and Lieutenant Commander Leo Anglin, and they will be called Commandant, I think, when the new law comes into place as well. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back after the 8 o'clock news.
Radio Cayman time check is now 8 a.m. This time check is brought to you by our friends at Foster's.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We are here for you. Please be advised that the pension contribution holiday has been extended until 31st of December 2021. Employers and plan members should ensure arrangements are in place for salary deductions and remittance following this date. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, keeping you informed. For further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. We're here for you.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Drivers expect some delays this morning. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service has closed Fort Street in front of Parliament between Edward Street and Albert Panton Street this morning to maintain traffic safety for the general public and demonstration participants who are expected to gather today to protest against controversial immigration bills. Police say the roads will open when they deem it safe enough to do so. In the meantime, Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego is on the scene monitoring the situation.
It is anticipated to be a similar picture to that of Saturday's protest in front of Government House. People are demonstrating their freedom of choice when it comes to vaccinations. Just hours before Parliament meets to debate bills, two of which will mandate vaccinations for certain categories of persons. At this time, there is police presence at these junctions, and there are but a handful of people out. We're expecting that number to be much larger within the next hour or so. I'll be here throughout the morning for Radio Cayman News in Georgetown. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Two bills in particular are at issue: the proposed Immigration Transition Amendment Bill and the Customs and Border Control Amendment Bill. The pair will mandate vaccinations for certain people, particularly foreigners such as work permit holders, permanent residency holders, and their dependents and partners who are subject to immigration controls in the Cayman Islands. The bills, if passed, would mandate vaccinations for new applications and renewals. Overnight, the leader of the opposition wrote to the premier asking government to withdraw the bills, citing, quote, serious concerns. Radio Cayman's Dion England reports.
In the letter, the Honorable Roy McTaggart tells the Honorable Wayne Panton the opposition's concerns. The leader of the opposition says several aspects of the bills impinge on the rights and freedoms of spouses, civil partners, children and dependents of Caymanians and should have been given a longer public consultation period. Mr. McTaggart and his side believe the bills are, quote, discriminatory and will negatively impact a broad cross-section of the community the country has invited to work, invest and live in the Cayman Islands. The opposition agrees with a position highlighted in the letter from law firm KSG that the government's proposed vaccination mandates threaten rights protected under the Constitution, including Section 2, right to life, Section 3, the prohibition of inhumane treatment, Section 9, the right to private life, Section 10, the right to freedom of conscience and religion, and Section 16, freedom from discrimination. The letter ends with the leader of the opposition stressing to the Premier that if the legislation is passed in its current form, it is likely to be declared incompatible with the Cayman Islands Constitution and challenged in the courts. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Dion Anglin.
Make sure to tune in to our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, as we will be broadcasting today's Parliament live. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Gareth Barlow. Moscow has dismissed allegations of financial impropriety involving President Putin contained in a mass leak of documents. The Kremlin said the Pandora Papers had provided no evidence of hidden riches belonging to President Putin's inner circle, so there was no reason to launch an investigation. Other world leaders, including Jordan's King Abdullah and the Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babiš, have rejected similar allegations. Pope Francis has called for an urgent change of direction after a meeting of religious leaders where they've presented a joint appeal that politicians adopt tougher commitments to combat global warming. The meeting comes just weeks before a UN climate summit in Glasgow. The Pope said the summit needed to provide effective responses to what he called an unprecedented ecological crisis. The first United Nations fact-finding mission to Libya has concluded that violations that could amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity are being committed across the country. Its report accuses all parties to the conflict, including outside countries and foreign fighters, of abuses. This year's Nobel Prize in Medicine has been awarded to the American scientists David Julius and Ardem Patapoutian for their work on body sensations. The Nobel Committee highlighted their discoveries of receptors for temperature and touch. Doctors in Nigeria's public hospitals have suspended a 2-month strike that paralysed the country's health system. Their union said it was giving the government another chance to meet its demands. The authorities in Oman say 7 more people have died as a result of a tropical storm that swept through the northern coastal areas on Sunday. 4 deaths have been announced on Sunday. And women in Iran have been given permission to attend an international football match in Tehran later this month. A media outlet said their presence had been authorised for the game between Iran and South Korea on October the 12th. World News from the BBC.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Are you aware of the performance of your pension plan? The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan provides quarterly fund fact sheets for our members to stay informed with the plan's performance. For the year ended 30th of April, 2021, the various life cycle funds have provided returns between 10.5% and 43.2%. And our all-in expense ratio for year ended 30th of June, 2020 is currently the lowest it's ever been. 0.72%. Visit chamberpension.ky to review our fund fact sheets. You can see the performance as far back as 10 years. Remember that pensions are a longer-term investment strategy. Focus on the long term rather than the short-term returns. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan continues to perform for you.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
You can now register to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the My HSA patient portal. Sign up is available at all HSA locations and at various sites throughout the community. To register, all you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and a valid email address. Visit hsa.ky and click My HSA Patient Portal for the sign-up schedule and more information.
With Logic, you get more things you do want, like faster fiber internet, more TV, entertainment, and better customer service. And you get less of the things you don't want, like waiting, boredom, and disappointment. More of the good, less of the bad. It just makes sense. Or should I say, it's logical. See what I did there? Call us or go to logic.ky to find out how you could be getting way more of what's good.
Remember to discard all fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, all foods in canisters, dented, leaking, or rusting cans after they have come in contact with floodwater. Also, discard foods that are stored in cardboard boxes, paper foil, cellophane, and cloth, as well as those in open containers and packages. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
The 8:10 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we are more than an insurance company. We are family. To learn more about our first-in-class individual and group life, disability and accident solutions, please visit Pan American International Insurance Corporation at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Song Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304 and visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
Good morning. Let's take a look at your latest weather conditions. Compliments of our friends at Pan American Life Insurance Company. Present temperature 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Conditions are nice and sunny. Feels like about 91. Winds are out of the southeast at 4 miles per hour. Relative humidity 83%. Last night's dew point was between 73 and 75. Barometric pressure is at 29.83 inches and dropping. Isolated thunderstorms along with light to moderate east to southeasterly winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area as an upper level trough lingers over the northwest Caribbean. So our forecast for today, partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will rise to the upper 80s. Winds will be east to southeasterly at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Later tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will fall to the mid-70s. Winds will be easterly at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. We're now in a high tide, which kicked in at just about 1 minute to 8. It's going to be low tide at 2:07 this afternoon and high at 8:03 tonight. For tomorrow, low tide is at 2:30 a.m. It will be high at 8:38 a.m., low at 2:43 p.m., and high at 8:30 p.m. Your sunset this evening is at 6:09, sunrise for tomorrow at 6:18. And the outlook is for similar weather conditions as the weakened upper level trough retrogresses and interacts with a tropical wave that will move into our area from tomorrow afternoon. That's your latest weather right here on your Radio Cayman.
The 8:10 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we're more than just an insurance company, we're family. To learn more about our first-in-class group health and employee benefit solutions, please visit Pan American Life Insurance Company of the Cayman Islands at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304. You can also visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving your goals is a very rewarding feeling, but at times can feel very frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, tell a friend. Having an accountability partner is often helpful in achieving your goals. Let your parents and partner know what you are planning or doing. Sharing with others also helps us to develop the ideas and our vision. Writing down your goals can help to solidify them for you and help you to stay accountable.
Change your thinking and change your life.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong Series was brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
All right, good morning, Cayman. Let's take a look at the traffic movements across Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman. Of course, very light traffic in our sister islands, Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. But of course, here in Grand Cayman, things are busy as always. Looking at the east-west arterial Crichton Boulevard area, traffic has cleared up there, moving quite moderately. And looking down from the King Sports Center, traffic is flowing until you get onto the Linford Pearson. Good movement, and then slows up as you continue to meet the rest of the traffic there, similar along Crew Road. If you're going through South Sound, expect some slow-paced traffic there as well, maybe 6 or 7 minutes delayed time. Also, coming off the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, slow-moving traffic coming out of the West Bay area. This is, of course, due to a road blockage out there on 4th Street in front of the Legislative Assembly building to protest. So, gotta find alternative routes to get into Georgetown if you're coming out from the West Bay area. Expect some backed up traffic there. Once getting past the roundabout, just outside Butterfield, for those of you making your way onto Godfrey Nixon Way or continuing down through North Sound Road, if the camera can move. Okay, so there we go. Godfrey Nixon Way, of course, with busy traffic. And of course, heading further south, expect some traffic delay there as well. Sheridan Road looking a little bit busy this morning. We're heading towards the airport, very light traffic out that way. But yeah, got a bit of traffic coming off the Esterly Tibbetts Highway. That's backed up as far as the eye can see, past the dump. Bit of traffic out there as well. West Bay Road also looking a bit nightmarish at the moment. sad little morning headache. Your traffic report, of course, brought to you by our good friends at Subway. Buckle up and stay safe. Look out for those crossing the roads, those on bicycles and motorbikes. Be careful out there, Cayman.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Hurricane season is here. If you're not prepared, it can really turn your life upside down. Fortunately, there's CG Britcay. Our people are here, ready to assist at a moment's notice, with protection like alternative accommodation for those who are displaced due to a storm, and coverage for the cost of clearing debris, hiring surveyors, architects, and more. It's our priority to make sure you have what you need when you need it most. So when your life gets turned upside down, we can help to turn it around. CG Britcay. Good like that.
We are island people. We know that hurricane season means preparation now, ahead of time, being ready ahead of the fury of nature we cannot control. Preparation that can make the difference between life and death, injury and safety, the misery of loss, the regret of procrastination. Know this now. Hurricane safety begins with you. It's your responsibility and mine. Your medicine, your valuable documents, your water, your place of safety during the storm, your preparation now will directly determine your outcome during and after the storm. Prepare now. A message from Rotary Central. We serve to change lives.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning discussing the Coast Guard bill that will be presented to our Parliament this week. We have Commander Robert Scotland and Lieutenant Commander Mr. Leo Anglin. Gentlemen, I'm going to look at Clause 6 of the bill, and it provides for the command and administration of the Coast Guard. It provides that the commander shall be responsible for the strategic, administrative, and operational command of the Coast Guard, subject to such strategic directions with respect to the preservation of the maritime safety and the maritime security of the islands, as the governor may give to the commandant. The commandant shall also be subject to such strategic policy directions as the chief officer of the Coast Guard may give the commandant. Can we then talk about the various competencies that both of you bring to the command?
Okay, thanks for that. I guess what I should probably do is give a bit of context around what you just said.
Sure.
The Coast Guard is a department within the government, not to be confused with a department within the Royal Cayman Islands Police. As such, the Coast Guard, myself as the commandant, which is the designated, or within the law is the designated head of the entity, is a department head, and the deputy commander is basically what we would call a deputy head of department.
Okay.
The directions that we take, again, the governor in his capacity and under his constitutional responsibilities is responsible for the national security of the island. And that's where that clause kicks in, where he is responsible for, or I act on his directions in matters relevant to the national security of or the maritime security and safety of the island.
Mm-hmm.
But because we are a department, we're also answerable to a chief officer for administrative and financial matters.
Right.
And that's where that responsibility to act on the strategic policy directions of that chief officer comes in. Going back to the competences that we have, prior to retiring from the police service or resigning from the police service, I had about 26 years in there, leaving as the superintendent responsible for what was then called proactive operations and uniform services.
Okay.
Part of which entailed the drug task force, what was then the drug task force, the Marine unit, the K9 unit, the firearms unit, the air support, and then the Marine unit as well. Over the years within the RCAPS, having assumed various commands of different departments and finally portfolios, I think that gave me quite a lot of insight and a lot of experience to help set up the Coast Guard. Actually, the attraction that brought me back into government service was that ability to come back in and build something from the ground up, but also utilizing the experience and knowledge that I had gathered during my police career, especially taking a look at what worked and also at sometimes what didn't work, and making sure that a new entity didn't go through those teething pains.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lieutenant Command?
Yes, sir. Similar in terms of experience, not years in service like Commander Scotland. I have about over 10 years plus within the law enforcement field. I was in the RCIPS previously to join the Coast Guard, and I was at the rank of inspector. During that time, I was also the Marine commander for quite some time. And in that role, I've also had to. I've also been attached to the Port Authority a period of time as well. In previous times, I've also had a uniform background as well. So collectively, during my tenure and my development going through those various segments of my tenure, I've developed a host of skills from the leadership perspective, and also from a sort of a business management perspective, applying that to the organization with the view of achieving a world-class standard. So collectively, given my law enforcement background as well as my background from the Port Authority and health and safety background, coupled with my experience within the Marine unit, allowed me to be a bit well-rounded, and then particularly with this role in helping us moving this organization forward. So.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to take a look at Clause 8 of the bill, and it provides for the general powers of the commandant, who shall have the command, superintendence, and direction of the Coast Guard. Among the general powers of the commandant is the power to make such appointments and promotions in respect of non-commissioned officers of the Coast Guard as the commandant may see fit. Let's talk about that, about appointments and promotions. You spoke earlier at the beginning about your first cohorts and their graduation. Can we talk about some of the skills or non-skills that you look for in when you're recruiting?
Okay, well, I think just to kind of put things in perspective.
Sure.
So what we've done with the Coast Guard, the organizational structure, we have commissioned officers and non-commissioned officers.
Okay.
While we're not a military entity, we've taken the management principles and organizational structure from Coast Guards within the region and also the Royal Navy. Mm-hmm. Hence why the titles and the designations between commissioned officers and non-commissioned officers. Non-commissioned officers are responsible for leadership, management, and leadership and management of departments, units, and essentially the overall, or detachments, and essentially the overall command of the Coast Guard. Mm-hmm. So the officers focus on the leadership and management and administrative functions. Non-commissioned officers are technical expertise, or technical experts, and basically the doers. And we recognized early, looking at other government services, the there's a unique requirement in both aspects. However, traditionally, our persons that were the doers, if you will, the only way that they could achieve greater pay was to take a promotion into a more supervisory or a leadership and management role. Sometimes, and I mean, I've seen it in my police career where you have people that joined as constables and they love being a constable, and they did that for 21 years, 30 years, and retired. The problem is that as a constable, your earning potential is limited. No matter the amount of training, experience, or courses that you've been on, once you hit that ceiling, you can't go any further. So a constable investigating murders can be basically paid, unless they have a longer time in service, than a constable that came out of training 3 years ago and is in uniform. Two different job skills, both are definitely needed. But again, within the Coast Guard, we recognize that the skills and competences to do our job and do it properly, you need to reward that. And what you don't want to do is train and invest in people and then lose them to the private sector, which has happened. Going back to the promotions, in the non-commissioned ranks, we have Coast Guard recruits, we have what we call ordinary seamen, able seamen, leading seamen, and petty officers, topping out at warrant officers. Within each of those areas, what we call occupational specialty areas. So you have an underwater specialist, Class 3, Class 2, Class 1. Class 3 being entry level, Class 2 being, if you were going of apprentice, journeyman, master. And what that does is it allows us to invest into that person while rewarding them financially for the developments that they've made in that role. On average, I would say it's going to probably take an individual probably about 3 to 4 years time in service, time in grade, to move up from an ordinary seaman to an able seaman and up. The idea being that at the end of the day, you have a subject matter expert from a technical perspective that can come in and tell you everything you need to know about anything in that particular area. Again, it's a model that's we've mirrored what the U.S. Coast Guard has done, Coast Guards within the region, Canada, and the UK. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're actually taking the best practice from those entities and bringing it into what we do here and Caymanizing it, if you will.
Okay. We have a caller. Paul, do you want to take the call before we go to the break? Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. Thank you for your guests who are there this morning. I'd like to congratulate them for finding their rightful place in a place that really, truly, almost exclusively belongs to Caymanians by virtue of heritage.
Yeah, or should at least, right?
Yes. It is. We have a prolific history of seamanship which extends to during the two world wars, including one of our own that was pre-Navy SEALs in formative years. I'm looking forward to Commander Scotland, and I didn't get the other gentleman's name, but welcome, sir.
Lieutenant Commander Leo Anglin.
Lieutenant Commander Leo. Thank you very much for your service, and I'm thanking you now for being a part of an apparatus that is not only well needed, but we have an opportunity to be a prolific part of protection of our community. I'm looking forward to us resourcing this Coast Guard entity, that it will have its own helicopter wing, and hopefully with accents that are connected with us, and in terms of pilots, and also extending to drone technology, which there are Caymanians now who are part of, who are very well trained in overseas entities that can come home and take their rightful places. I have every confidence that your footprints are going to be remarkable, considering our legacy of maritime heritage in these islands. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any of you gentlemen want to respond to the caller?
Thank you very much for that, sir. And we will do everything within our power to live up to the confidence you have reposed in us. Some of the technologies that you've already mentioned are actually being considered quite actively by us. The need for another helicopter on island, I don't think from a financially prudent perspective would be wise at this time. The police already have two, and we work well together with them. But definitely exploring the options of drone technology. There's quite some very interesting innovations around drone technology and search and rescue, right down to the ability to actually deploy life rafts or life vests to persons within proximity of the coastline.
Wow. Oh, excellent.
Yeah, caller, thank you for your confidence in us and your well wishes. It is our objective to ensure that we develop a Coast Guard that is not going to only be recognized locally, but internationally as well. One of our objectives is to ensure that we develop a Coast Guard that is considered world class. There's no reason why we can't be on the same level as the U.S. Coast Guard and our JDF Coast Guard or whatever Coast Guard in the region. But one of our objectives is definitely when people speak of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, yes, we want them to recognize us as world class, significant high standards, and we want to be the shining light in the civil service.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, just touching on what Mr. Anglin spoke of in terms of standards, one of the things that we have been stressing on from day one is standardization of our training and equipment within the Coast Guard. What we inherited was a situation where there was no standardized training, no standardized or documented policies and procedures. Basically, people, and giving them full credit, they were working to what they've always known and done. The problem is that because you've always worked to what you've known and done doesn't mean that you're doing it properly, safely, and correctly. As evidenced by the 2016 report from the United Kingdom's Maritime Coast Guard Authority, when they did a post-incident review of a search and rescue that unfortunately didn't go as well as it should.
Yes.
And again, that was one of the impetuses and one of the drives to actually create a proper Coast Guard with life-saving at its forefront. Again, the Marine unit did what they could with what they had, but policing being an enforcement entity, as you can appreciate, and sharing a budget with the police service, when crime goes up, the demand for resources shift from marine policing to land-based policing. So again, one of the things that the bill and the creation of the Coast Guard does is to actually separate and clearly define policing. You have your budget. It's independent of the Coast Guard.
Excellent. We have a caller on hold, but we have to take a commercial break. We're going to ask that caller, hang in there. Short commercial break. When we return, we will take your call, so please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
West Bay, home to Barkas National Park, the touristy flair, a family community, a political powerhouse. From sports enthusiasts to car aficionados, affection for silver thatch rope. No matter how far you may venture, West Bay will always be where the heart is. Home will always be in West Bay. West Bay Pharmacy, caring for your home and your family. West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient, quality care is just around the corner.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamped Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
COVID-19 vaccines are the only way forward in reopening our borders safely. Take the COVID-19 vaccine to protect yourself and the ones you love, especially those of us who cannot get vaccinated. For more information on the COVID-19 vaccine, visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Commander Robert Scotland and Lieutenant Commander Leo Anglin of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. We're talking about the Cayman Islands Coast Guard bill that will be going to our Parliament this week as well. I think we lost the caller that we had. They probably had to hang up because of time constraints or something. Hopefully they will call back. Meanwhile, one of our listeners has written in and said, good morning. So refreshing to hear two young, articulate, highly skilled Caymanian men leading this department. We wish them great success as they play a vital role in protecting our country's borders and saving lives. Love to see our own so competent in leadership positions, and want to thank that writer for that as well. We have another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Sophie. Good morning to you again there.
Good morning. Good morning. We're getting an echo from you. Not hearing you well.
I do not seem like this. Sorry. Let me try to take it off from my speaker.
Okay.
Okay. I hope I'm better. Is it better now?
Much better.
Okay. Sorry. First of all, I would like to congratulate both the lieutenant and the commander, whatever the title is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud as a Caymanian, but I want to, I'm not surrogating about it, but I want to big up Mr. Leo Anglin, sorry. He's from the District of West Bay, and we want him to know that we're very proud of his achievements, and we wish them all, both of them, the success, and we are looking forward for them to do their job at the best of their ability and keep up the good work.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for your confidence.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank that caller as well. Okay. I want to touch on some other aspects of the bill as well. The patrol the territorial waters of the Cayman Islands as well as the high seas, enforce and assist in enforcement of any laws on international maritime conventions, treaties, and instruments relating to maritime jurisdiction. This one is very important, and Commander Scotland, you both of you made reference to this before as well. Render aid and assistance to persons or vessels in distress and subject to subsection 6, subsections 3B and 4 of the Maritime Authority Act 2013 revision to conduct and coordinate all such search and rescue operations within the search and rescue region of the islands in accordance with the International Convention on Maritime Search and Rescue legislation. And also, while we're at it, talk about the inspection of vessels as well, something that people feel is really, really, sorely needed here in the Cayman Islands.
Yes, sir. So touching on the first part of the question, international obligations and rendering assistance, both to, I guess you'd call it the law enforcement side of the legislation, but also the humanitarian side, which is search and rescue. Again, this is an area that we haven't been proactive in. We've always been reactive, so we wait for a call to come in and then we respond. A lot of times, and you'd be surprised at the number of vessels, that tankers passing within our region, and if you ever have a few minutes, go on to one of the vessel tracking apps, and if you look at where Cayman sits, it's basically a maritime highway between, you'd say, South America going into the between the Yucatan Peninsula and into the Gulf of Mexico. Mm-hmm. And the number of vessels, the number of tankers, cargo vessels that come across mariners in distress, you'd be quite surprised at the number. Again, being proactive puts us out there patrolling and increases our ability to render assistance as we should and as we are obligated to. The territory, you mentioned earlier, the territorial sea and the high seas. Cayman's territorial waters is 12 nautical miles from the shoreline, or if there's a reef, 12 nautical miles extending out from the reef.
Okay.
But the high seas is anything is known as international waters. Cayman hasn't yet declared an EEZ, or an exclusive economic zone, but we have declared areas that are within our fisheries, and these areas are known to our fishermen for generations. They extend as far down as Pickle Bank, and then you have Miss Rosa Banks and quite a number of others off of Cayman Brack, and then extending out to 12 Mile Bank and all those areas. And as you know, they're frequented by persons going fishing, and inevitably you have vessels that break down or sometimes don't even have their proper safety equipment on, which touches into the vessel inspection section. Within the maritime law and also the Port Authority regs, both specify that there's certain safety equipment that has to be on board a vessel of various sizes and descriptions. And what has not been actively done is, one, the education, and later the enforcement of what these requirements are. One of our main focuses and drives will be to start off with the education of it. You can't punish people for something they may not be aware of, even though the law says ignorance of the law is no excuse. One of our main things, and we've actually started it on our Instagram page, is periodically putting out notices, EPIRBs, personal location beacons. Again, touched on it earlier, the need for you to have a VHF radio on board your vessel. Again, cell phones are fine, but they're problematic if you're outside of cell coverage. Have a mirror, have a flare gun, things that you were always told to take with you when you went out. Just because you've never had to use it doesn't mean that you will never need it. And it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, as Mr. Anglin keeps saying.
Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break, Paul. When we return, the conversation with Commander Scotland and Lieutenant Commander Mr. Leo Anglin will continue, so please stay tuned.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Planning for the hurricane season can be stressful, especially because COVID-19 remains a concern. To help you safely prepare, here's some tips from the Public Health Department. Have a fully stocked first aid kit. Make sure you have face coverings, hand sanitizers, and disinfectants should you need to evacuate to a shelter. Ensure a sufficient supply of medications for people with illnesses. Ensure immunizations are up to date, and when eligible, take your COVID-19 vaccine. Ensure a sufficient supply of food and clean water for every member of your family. For more guidance to update your emergency hurricane plans due to coronavirus, visit www.caymanprepared.gov.ky. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of this segment of the show this morning, talking about the Coast Guard bill that is going to our Parliament this week. That conversation has taken place with Commander of the Coast Guard, Mr. Robert Scotland, and Lieutenant Commander Mr. Leo Anglin. And gentlemen, I know that while you will not be voting on this particular piece of legislation, you're going to be required to be down there when it's being debated as well. So we want to bear that in mind. And also, while we stress that the Coast Guard is not, a military unit, we see recently the announcement, actually last week in Jamaica, that the head of the Jamaica Defense Force now is going to be a female, a woman. Yes. And I want to just ask you the question in relation to the Coast Guard, whether or not it's a mixed gender department, or at this point in time whether or not it is comprised mainly of males. Just figured I'd stick that in there.
Miss, she's now Commodore Antoinette Wins Gorman, soon to be Rear Admiral,
yes,
is taking over as the Chief of Defence Staff. Mm-hmm. And actually, I would like to say and publicly acknowledge that the role that she has actually played in helping us get to where we are. She's been a fountain of knowledge, and I can pick up the phone at just about any time and ask her for her opinions. She was actually the first female commanding officer of the Coast Guard in Jamaica, so she's been breaking glass ceilings for quite some time. But going back to what you were asking about the Cayman Islands Coast Guard and women in the Coast Guard, but quite proud to say that initially, when we were first authorized or recruitment allocation for 2019, we began recruitment in 2019, and at the time it was only 12 spots, and half of the successful candidates were male, and the other half were female. And I will say that the women are holding their own. They have asked that they don't be given any special consideration, which speaks very highly and commendable for them. They realize that the environment that they're working in, and we've said it to them from the beginning, sky's the limit for them. We don't look at the best man or best woman for the job, we look at the best individual for the job. If you bring the willingness to learn, the drive, the tenacity to stick it out and to be there at the end and pull your weight and come through, the position's yours. Whether you're male, female, we are gender neutral, religious neutral, and everything else. again, it's the best individual for the job.
Okay, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir. I was echoing on what Commander Scotland have stated. Previously with the Joint Marine Unit, we only had at one time one young lady, and that was short-lived. And with this, having 6 young ladies now join us, it makes us a little bit more dynamic, you can say, because oftentimes, even within our operations, we come across women as well. So it eases that issue that presented. But these 6 young ladies have illustrated all that they're more than capable of doing the jobs of any of the males, and doing it just as good or even better. So we welcome young women to join the organization. This is a homegrown product, and we want to make sure that everyone have the opportunity to take part.
Okay. While you have the mic, I want you to speak a little bit more about the new vessel, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity for some closing comments, and then your boss will have the last say.
Yes. The new vessel, like I said, is intended to be more geared towards search and rescue. It was this vessel we looked at it vigorously, and with the assistance of the U.S. Coast Guard. I actually had the opportunity to see it in action in Chatham, Massachusetts, which is where they have very, very high breaking seas in the Cape Cod area, and seeing the vessel in its action and seeing what it is capable of doing, and then having one of the senior coxswains, Master Chiefs, tell me, out of all the vessels in the U.S. Coast Guard that he's ever ridden, this is absolutely the best riding vessel that he's ever done. So it spoke to. For a veteran of 30-something plus years to say those things about that vessel, it just spoke to its capability. And we took a very vigorous approach to its design and making sure that it would fit our operational theater and be able to perform the job that we intended to do. Search and rescue being the most important one of them. As I alluded to earlier, the challenges we've had over the years with not having assets to get out to assist an individual in rough weather has been quite challenging. And the last thing we want is to not be able to assist the general public when the time needs arises. So, with this vessel, we are going to be able to provide that level of service to the people of these islands. Okay. And additionally, anyone who is transiting that may find themselves in distress.
And this is like a live aboard vessel as well?
Negative. The vessel is only 44 feet. It is designed to get to the location, render assistance, take the persons off the vessel if needs be, and then return back to shore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I, from a personal standpoint, envisage at some point in time is having a large vessel, live aboard vessel. We continue to have issues with illegal migrants. We see other countries having the ability to intercept them at sea.
Yes.
And having agreements with their home country to return them there. Do we think that we will get to the point where we will have a large vessel at some point in time with such capabilities and live aboard and everything?
Before I answer that part, I just wanted to let you know that the vessel that we just procured also has self-righting capability, which means that if the vessel ever capsizes, it will turn back over on its own. So that is just one of the tools in our shed, in our toolbox that allows us to be there dynamic, like I said, in terms of SAR. As it relates to a larger vessel, yes, that is the overall plan. We want to be able to deploy for a long duration of times between here and the BRAC and cover areas within our territorial waters and beyond. That is something we envisioned, and to ensure that we can, deal with potential risk before they reach our waters.
Yep. Commander?
Yeah, I mean, just expanding a little on that. Ideally, we're looking at something that can give us an extended duration for 48 to 72 hours. But that also comes with an operational cost. Even if an entity tomorrow was to say, well, here is this brand new vessel, we're giving it to you, we do need to take a practical approach to say, okay, what is the operational cost, and can we as a country and as a Coast Guard actually sustain it? because as most people know, a vessel is something that if you use, it costs you, and if you don't use it, it costs you.
Probably even more when you don't use it.
Exactly. And then we need to invest in the people, train them to use it properly in the way it's supposed to be used. In addition to the 44 that Mr. Anglin mentioned, we still retain the other vessels that were with the RCIPS Joint Marine Unit, and those are primarily used for drug interdiction and interdiction of human smuggling and all the other interdiction type actions. We took a look at those vessels. They were fit for purpose for what they were bought for, and we've invested quite significantly in them. And thanks to the governments for providing those funds. With that investment, we've now extended the operational lifespan of those vessels, probably another 12 to 15 years. One of the other things we've invested in is a very aggressive preventative maintenance program. The reports that we got back from the entity that built them and did the refurbish were that there were some areas that we could have done a lot better with in terms of historically and in terms of maintenance. Okay. So we're aggressively addressing those now.
Okay, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for that. I know you have to run off. And if you need any assistance as far as lobbying is concerned, I believe there's going to be a demonstration down at the Parliament this morning as well. We can get them to lobby for this bill, but I'm sure that everything will go well. I want to thank you all very much for being here, and all the best as well. Folks, top of the hour headline news. When we return, we will be talking about the upcoming healthcare conference. So don't change that dial. Stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The leader of the opposition asked government to withdraw two controversial immigration bills that will mandate vaccines for certain members of the population. The Honourable Roy McTaggart says they have, quote, serious concerns.
We've had concerns regarding these bills since they were published, and it became apparent how far-reaching they were, far beyond the scope of only work permit holders.
Parliament is meeting today at 10 a.m. to deal with the bills. Make sure to tune in to our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, to follow the proceedings live. The victim of the UK's most prolific rapist, Reynard Sinaga, has spoken of the sheer horror discovering she'd been attacked by a sexual predator. Sinaga was jailed for life last year after being convicted of drugging and raping 48 men in his Manchester flat. Police believe the postgraduate student had targeted more than 200 men. Daniel, the first victim to waive his right to anonymity, said he, quote, couldn't remember anything when he woke up in Sinaga's flat. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky. Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush. For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a new and second location in Governor's Square. The new Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor's Square is open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels, and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air-dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
This Wednesday, we're having a free mic. It's just us and you if you call in.
Our word of the week is defunct. D-E-F-U-N-C-T. It is an adjective that means no longer living, existing, active, usable, or in use.
That has nothing to do with youth.
Because we full of functioning.
Not to mention, but you could join us this Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. right here on Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM, and you could also check us out on YouTube Live.